Hi everyone, my name is Eric Schurter and I'm the product manager for the editor group, which is part of the create stage of the DevOps lifecycle here at GitLab. And I'm excited to share with you a little bit about what we have planned for the 14.5 milestone. As usual, I'll link to our planning issue in the video description where you can click through and see everything we have scheduled for the release, but I'll highlight a few in particular for you today. Keeping with our theme of reliability, scalability, and maintainability over the past quarter, we want to keep working and bring across the finish line the work we've been doing to redesign the state management system in the web IDE. This will hopefully leave us with a much more maintainable and predictable code base, but also see some reliability and performance improvements with regards to how the web IDE interacts with the file system itself. So we're looking to wrap that work up in 14.5 and hopefully realize some of those improvements. Next, shifting gears to the wiki and the content editor that we've implemented, the rich text Markdown editor that we introduced in 14.0. Over the past quarter, we've been working on rounding out support for all types of GitLab flavored Markdown that could possibly be in a wiki document, and rendering those appropriately in the content editor. We have, I think, one or two last issues related to rendering content, including this one about Markdown or HTML comments that are in line with the document. So we are going to try and surface these comments, which are really helpful for things like page templates or for leaving context through the document that you don't want rendered in the final page output. So we'll bring that into the content editor, and I think we'll end up after 14.5 having full support for just about any type of content that could exist inside a wiki page, a Markdown wiki page. So with the content editor right now, there's an issue where you can have a whole bunch of Markdown, even as simple as just like a few different mixed types of markdowns, a heading, a paragraph, a list, maybe a block quote, and copy that to the clipboard. When you paste that into the content editor, it doesn't get parsed as individual blocks. It'll just bring it in as one big paragraph. So that's not ideal. What we want is the ability to be able to take your content from somewhere else, drop it in the wiki as is in the content editor, and it renders out appropriately. So in 14.5, we'll be tackling the ability to parse larger amounts of Markdown that's pasted from the clipboard in the content editor. As I mentioned, we are now supporting a whole bunch of different content types in GitLab flavored Markdown. And as we look towards the near future, we'll be introducing UI to help you implement some of these formatting options or block types, things like superscript fonts or footnotes or inline diff formatting, things like that. The problem is we are running out of horizontal room in the toolbar. So we add 6 or 8 more icons here, and now all of a sudden your page is overflowing with UI options. So we'll be introducing a little bit of hierarchy here in the content editor, adding an overflow menu for less frequently accessed UI elements, and that'll help clean up the toolbar and allow us to scale a little more rapidly without necessarily redesigning the whole editor itself. Last, we want to enable the ability to switch on the fly between editing and content editor and the raw Markdown. This is probably one of the most important directional items that we've had in our backlog for the content editor in a while. When we receive feedback, this is probably the #1 bit of feedback. We understand the value of having a WYSIWYG rich text editor, but for certain occasions and for certain people, you just want to have access to the raw Markdown editor as well, and that's perfectly fine. The issue is right now, because our content editor was sort of in a beta state, we were testing it out, we weren't sure that we were going to be able to persist content back and forth in a way that was safe and that didn't corrupt the data. So we had created this sort of opt-in and opt-out flow for the content editor that allows you to switch between raw Markdown and the content editor, but it would throw away any unsaved changes as you toggle back and forth. So we'll be removing that barrier so that you can toggle from using the classic Markdown source editing experience that you're used to and toggle into the content editor and the rich text editing environment back and forth without losing your data or without having to save and commit in between each time. So allowing you to sort of rapidly change this and then potentially persisting the last used state of the editor in local browser storage will allow you to have a little bit more control over your content itself and make you feel a little more confident that what's going on in the content editor is outputting the kind of raw markdown that you're expecting to see. So that's a lot to accomplish in 14.5, but we're feeling really good about the direction and the progress. I hope to see you back next month for 14.6 with even more exciting issues. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you next month.